Founded in 1996 China, Yonge Group has based its business around the philosophy of building a healthy lifestyle, creating places that allow people to live and be active. From communal gardens to golf courses, putting greens through to pools, gyms and outdoor exercise equipment, we make it easy for people to lead a healthy lifestyle in a welcoming community environment. Today, Yonge is one of China's largest property developers. This success led the group to make the strategic decision in 2015 to establish Yonge International, an overseas investment arm. Yonge International has expanded into some of the most livable cities in the world: Sydney, Australia, Vancouver and Toronto, Canada, and Hong Kong, and has seen a number of years of rapid expansion. Wherever we operate, we aim to establish ourselves as a genuine local developer by utilizing local know-how and by taking a hands-on approach in each market so we ensure a project's quality and sustainability. We have a vision for the future to continue growing. In the countries where we operate, we currently have more than 20 projects in Sydney, Vancouver, Toronto and Hong Kong. Yonge International opened in the Australian market in Sydney in 2015 with the ultra-luxurious 130 Hyde Park project, which set a new price record for apartments in Australia at the time. This iconic project soars 38 levels above the city, with Hyde Park as its front yard, 16 hectares of magnificent mature trees, lush lawns and wide open space to explore. 130 Hyde Park, Maison 188 Maroubra and Mirabelle Turramurra are now complete and home to the first Yonge International residents. Altessa 888 Gordon, Adela Burwood, Woolooware Bay and Esplanade Norwest are now under construction. Our Esplanade Norwest development sees a new urban experience, composed of a busy urban base, a lush podium leisure zone, and slender sky towers. Above is the luxurious residence podium level, which includes a pool, gym, and outdoor cinema, as well as exciting new projects in the pipeline. For each of these projects, we have sourced local funding with the top-tier banks in Australia, establishing a local presence in each market. In Toronto and Vancouver, Canada, Yonge International projects include One Central and The Grove in Vancouver, and award-winning project M2M in Toronto. One Central in Vancouver is the definition of energized urban living, with over 550 homes in one 44-story building. One Central is the largest and tallest residential tower in the city centre. In both form and function, One Central homes are designed for ultimate efficiency and livability. The Grove, the 8-acre site at Willingdon and Dawson in Vancouver, will be the gateway to Brentwood, with 2,200 homes across 5 towers surrounding a generous city park. This master-planned community will be a vibrant new neighbourhood. With commercial and retail at the ground level and a 3-minute walk to the SkyTrain, The Grove will offer parkside living with all the urban benefits at your door. M2M, the 8.6-acre development at Yonge and Finch in Toronto, will be transformed into Yonge International's largest master-planned mixed-use community in Canada. This ideal locale provides easy access to highway, local malls and restaurants. M2M includes 5 residential condo towers, office and retail space, a park, daycare and community centre, with direct underground access to the new subway station. M2M, designed to be both beautiful and functional. Thoughtfully designed suite layout and amenities gives way to plenty of lifestyles, bringing our healthy lifestyle vision to Toronto. As the headquarters for Yonge International, Hong Kong is like the engine room of the operation, providing strategic direction and support to ensure the ongoing success of the international teams. The Robinson Road project, set in the mid-levels, is one of the projects Yonge International is bringing to the vibrant and booming city of Hong Kong. Among our successes so far, we have received awards for Adela, 130 Hyde Park and M2M. Using a localized strategy, the Yonge International team will continue to deliver projects of unwavering quality and workmanship and create living, working, cultural and entertainment environments that build a healthy lifestyle. Ayuan International, building a healthy lifestyle.
Hi everyone, this is Sam here with Starion Realty, President and Broker of Record of Starion Realty, and we're definitely excited to have with us Vince, who is the Senior Vice President with Ayuan, the mastermind behind M2M at Yonge and Finch. So we're going to get right into it. This is probably one of the most amazing sessions that we are going to have. It's virtual, so you know, it's a new economy and the new world that we're in. So I just want to say welcome to this amazing session, Vince, and please take your time to introduce yourself on the project.
Yeah, well, great to see you again, Sam, and hi everybody. I hope everyone's staying safe. And hoping that that we all get out of this and on the other side very quickly here. Yeah, great to have you back.
Same here, same here. So basically, you know, we have this amazing project at Yonge and Finch, and obviously it's been one of those really amazing projects that everyone that has been a part of it from the first launch has just had amazing reviews about it. We've had amazing feedback about it. We saw how the first release went, and obviously we're excited for this new release. So just to jump right into it, I know your history a whole lot well, but I think our viewers would like to know more about you and obviously your relationship with Ayuan.
So prior to joining Ayuan, I was with Minto Communities and Minto Group for the better part of 22 years. I started back in the early 90s. Seems like such a long time ago. Back in those days with Minto here in Toronto, the operation was moving along, and the benefit I had was and I was very, very fortunate, to work with a ton of great people, ton of great development minds specifically, but also the opportunity to do a number of different things because we all wore different hats at that time in terms of development. You just had to do what you had to do to get things done. So during my 22 years, during the course of my 22 years there, I took on a number of different positions. I do have a background in urban development. Started out on the construction side of things, and worked all the way and up to different positions from coordinator, manager, to director. And then when I recently left, just before joining Ayuan in 2017, I was vice president of development, overseeing as many as 15, 16 projects at one time, high-rise, mid-rise, and low-rise. Great company, great exposure, learned so much, cut my teeth, and can't say enough about the team back there. But I'm with this team now at Ayuan International. As I said, I joined them in July of 2017. And along with a cast of others, we're 19 strong here in the Toronto office now. One of the things our chairman back overseas insists on in any geography that we operate in is that we build a team with local talent and local expertise, and I think that's something that your purchasers, Sam, and your valued clients can take with some comfort, is that we do have a team that's been built with a lot of on-the-ground experience here in the Toronto area, and certainly with a project community that we're bringing forward of this size. I think that's a value to us for sure. Our chairman knows about real estate. He knows you don't do things maybe in Sydney or Vancouver the way you do them in Toronto, and local expertise is paramount. So started in July of 2017 and came aboard our first foray here in Toronto. We acquired this particular community just as I had joined, and it's been a tremendous couple of years since then. As you well know, Sam, you were there from the beginning, and we hope to just keep things going.
Awesome. That's an impressive resume to have. I mean, you're the man for the job, definitely. We'll hire you any day.
Thank you. Thank you.
When we get to this point. So you mentioned a whole lot of things, and I know the key thing that obviously leads us into the next part of this session is the history behind the sites, right? You acquired it in 2017. That was probably one of the largest land deals for that year. So what was the vision behind acquiring that site? I know it was owned by a different developer, and then you guys came in and you paid top dollar for it. So just share in a nutshell what the vision was and how that vision is, transitioned into where we are today.
Sure, Sam. We jumped onto M2M and what was formerly known as Newtonbrook Plaza in 2017. So September of 2017 is when we actually closed on the property. Prior to that, it was a subject of well over 10 years of planning and approvals. This wasn't something that was done overnight, and the process, as most of the time, the planning process here in Toronto happened with a lot of input, not only from the city, from local residents, the local ratepayer groups who I've come to know very well, a lot of really, really good people involved, and the former owners who were the owners of the former Newtonbrook Plaza. I think the work they did to carry it to a certain point before we got here, just tremendous in terms of, bringing a community forward that would cater to, family needs in terms of the size and the offering of the suites, of the product itself in terms of the residential component, but also making sure that you took advantage of the fact that you are only a minute and a half from the TTC, the northern terminal of the TTC subway line here in Toronto, and to that effect, making sure that the retail was replaced. And that you also offered some office services, but also a complete master plan community, and that was the vision. So in addition to what I just mentioned, a public park, future daycare and community center in the future phases, in the second phase, a new public road, all in the 416. So as master planned a community as you're going to find anywhere, especially inside the 416 boundary itself. So that was really what the team prior to us continued to march on with. And, we were fortunate enough to come on in right at the right time to carry a few things over the goal line and to build on top of that vision. And I think, I'm very proud of the job this team here has done with respect to that.
That's impressive. I mean, they say the opportunity of a lifetime is within the lifetime of the opportunity. So you came right in and you found a masterpiece, a master plan community right next to transit. Doesn't get any better than that. If you ask me.
We're very excited.
Yeah, and fortunate too to have that to have the pocket and the vision to see what that opportunity is and to take advantage of it. So that's really impressive. So the next thing obviously is the name, the I would say acronym M2M. It actually stands for something, right? And that obviously ties into the vision of the developer. So just in a nutshell, again, just share, M2M, how that ties into lifestyle, how that ties into the amenities that you're bringing in, how that ties into transit, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, sure, Sam. So, you've heard it a few times, and you were there from the beginning. We've used the slogan of "Made to Matter," and that's really we've taken that to heart in terms of "Made to Matter." It's a community that that's going to bring so many different elements that any buyer or investor wants to know is going to be present in a community that they're putting their for some people their lifetime savings into. So M2M specifically, that is the actual, it's the first three digits of the postal code of the area. And so many people have an affinity with this community, with the site specifically. It being a former plaza and having been there for 60 years, it was one where a number of people frequented in and around the area. A lot of our buyers are end users and people that have lived in the area and want to stay in the area. I'm a North York boy, so I remember this location very fondly. Used to go to the supermarket with my parents when I was just a tyke, a few years ago. But the community itself.
We're younger now, so it's all good.
Exactly. But, being made to matter, in addition to the residences that we've carefully designed with some input and knowing what our buyers want, being able to bring back the retail, being able to preserve some office space and offer some more. The park, as I mentioned earlier, the community center, the daycare, really is a community that's going to bring everything that somebody needs right at the doorstep for them. And again, close in the proximity of the TTC, as I mentioned earlier, about a minute and a half walk to the south. If you're taking the car and have that parking space, you're close to every major highway in the city. And then all of this really complementing, a great area in North York that's been great for a very long time, with all the shops and restaurants. And I really hope those folks come back online soon. I want to see their smiling faces again. I frequent many of them, during the course of the approvals and the construction, and we really want to see them back. But just a real great area that offers a whole a bunch of different options for people.
That's really amazing, and I'm glad you said that. I remember during the first launch, you were talking about the bulk barn and how you always visited the bulk barn. I still remember that, and that actually stuck with me, to know that you have a developer and the leadership of the development that loves the neighborhood because they live there and they know what that feels like to add something to the neighborhood that actually adds value long term. So that's really amazing that you say that. So just leading right into it, I know that, from everything that's going on right now, if you're ever going to invest anywhere in the city, you want to be close to major amenities. So we've talked about transit being a big part of that. I know that has also impacted the success of previous releases. Releasing a different product type to the market, obviously, this type of product is really, really great and it's in demand. So just tell us, what was the idea behind having, sky towns and townhomes as part of this entire, amazing project? That it's already amazing, but I guess now it's even more so appealing to a larger sector of people that demand size and they demand more square footage and more space.
Yeah. So Sam, I mean, in designing, the building and designing the first two towers in this first phase, we really wanted to be able to give people choice. We heard and felt all the interest with respect to the community itself. When we came aboard, there was a lot of buzz. We had a lot of feedback. We went out and asked our prospective purchasers. We had focus groups. Tried to put together as much information as we could to make sure that we were designing these suites and providing an offering with a wide range of suite sizes and unit types that would cater to a wider market base, which is very, very it speaks to what North York has always been. You've seen single family detached dwellings, you've seen at grade townhomes, you've seen some condos as well. So we wanted to be able to ensure that our offering was sort of going to continue on, what buyers and people living in North York were expecting. So all the way from, 1-bedroom units, smaller units, 1 bedrooms, all the way up to 3 bedrooms up in our towers. And then coming up in this new release, which I know you're going to be asking me about, some exciting townhome designs. I think we've done a great job laying out our tower suites, and I can't wait to see the reaction from everybody when they see our townhome suites. And then being in North York as well, I mean, the one thing we had in our minds was, we're able to offer a little bit more space here. So let's make sure it's usable. Let's make sure it responds to what people are telling us and what our customers' needs are. Because you'd otherwise be paying probably a lot more being downtown in the urban core than you would up here, still being in the 416 and still being on the transit line. So I think that's another advantage, the fact that we have bigger spaces here in North York as well.
That's really great. And speaking about the product mix, I think the success of any project is obviously tied to the mix of products, the mix of obviously amenity spaces and so on and so forth. So when you really talk about townhomes, size is important. If you have a sky town, for example, definitely you're talking about a different price point. How has you guys as a team worked out the pricing for this product to be really what the market will digest easily, and obviously knowing that you're in the 416 next to transit, lots of space, usually that commands a higher price point or price per square foot, right? So, but how has this team been able to really work that into the project where you're getting all of this great amenity spaces, you're getting a great location, you're getting transit, but you're also getting a really good price point with incentives and all. So I guess we can kind of dive into that.
Yeah, so I mean, for us, we've seen what's been happening in and around the area for a long time now, and you know the demand has been strong. We're seeing a lot of people that lived and grew up, as I mentioned earlier, in the North York area wanting to be in North York. So for us, being close to transit, offering a wide range of product. It didn't just stop there. We really focused on the design elements, especially our corner units that have the unobstructed view all the way up, with a little bit of curtain wall in those corners. Quality finishes, in the bathrooms, in the kitchens, in the living areas. Good sized livable spaces, good sized bedrooms, usable bedrooms. All of that, went into making sure that, if people are going to be paying, a solid price and a market price for a suite that they're looking at in this area, they want to protect their investment. So that resonated with us, and we made sure it just didn't stop at the site and the location, which is a huge factor, certainly, but also, painstakingly making sure that the suite layouts made sense, that we were listening to our buyers to make them as efficient as possible while providing that space, and then finishing them off the right way, with appliances, built-in appliances, minding, the size of our bedrooms, the size of the living areas. All of that went into our thinking. So we didn't do this blindly. We certainly listened to a lot of folks, and the townhomes in this next release, you'll see it's a great culmination of that for this first phase anyway, being two-story townhomes. So I know what we were able to do with our tower layouts, and I think everyone's going to be really excited when they see our townhome layouts.
That's really impressive, and I think you really touched on a great point, which is, the location is great. You're next to transit, which is great, but you also want the interior finish to be really, really compelling, and that's impressive to know that you guys are putting a lot of thought into making this a win-win on both ends: price, finishes, and location. So that's really amazing. So leading right into what everyone is thinking right now, the elephant in every room, especially when you talk about a new release or a new launch, whatever the case is the pandemic, right? We know what's going on globally, we know what's going on locally. How has that played a role in this conversation that we're having now? Why now? I mean, and I think for me, that speaks to the confidence of the developer to say, we have a great product, we have great, mix of units, we have great location, and irrespective of the market, people are going to buy. So, I believe that, I know that, but, from your perspective, what's the reasoning and the vision behind going to market now?
Yeah, no, great question, and we've been asked that a few times over the last little while. I think for one, you mentioned it, confidence. We're up to 80% sold already. You and your team, Sam, were a big part of that, and that gave us a little bit of confidence as well. People have shown confidence in us, and really like what we brought to the market in terms of our offering. I think the other part of it too is, we're being mindful, being very respectful and careful of the situation as well. We're watching events daily. You're taking our direction from all levels of government. Starting with the federal government and then the province as well. And as you know, I mean, we started construction back in September of 2019. We broke ground. We continued on our excavation, got to the P3 level of parking, and then obviously, COVID broke and we had to put a pause on it. Fortunately for us, one element of construction that was allowed to get back on the radar screen was the continuing with underground excavation, which we were luckily very fortunate so no sooner did we get the site secure and we got the order lifted a little bit and we were back on site. I believe as of this afternoon, I think the Premier has just announced that all construction activity can start resuming to before. So, and with that in mind, even when we got back only a couple of weeks ago after the pause, we were very mindful of the restrictions as well on site, the distancing measures, all the parameters that the province has laid out, all the restrictions, all the recommendations, being very respectful of the fact we don't want anybody sick. We certainly want the job to keep going forward. and to bring our product to our purchasers and to our valued customers as they expect, but also being very, very respectful of what all levels of government are telling us. And so we've got a great team on site. We've got a great constructor, and they've been doing that and working very, very closely with the authorities to ensure that we're just we're doing all the right things. So, really, really excited about that. And I think just generally, I think anybody can see how Canada itself has handled itself during this pandemic. I think it speaks to the strength of this country. I think we can say the same about the province and the premier and his team and what a job they've done in terms of dealing with this pandemic. And I think that should give everybody a lot of confidence
Yeah, absolutely.
going forward and thinking about an investment here at M2M or anywhere else in the province for that matter.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And the good thing you mentioned the response from the government, right? We've seen, obviously, back in 2008, 2009, we had the global crisis, financial crisis, and now we have a pandemic. And honestly, to be very much so blunt, I've been super impressed with the response so far. The measures that have been taken, the support, the assistance, financial, and all other types of services that have been put in place to obviously uh, flatten the curve as well as bring the economy back online. I think that has been really impressive. And from a development standpoint, you have to think of your buyers, which is one of the reasons why we're having this virtual session. Usually our sessions would be in person, shaking hands and hopefully drinking tea. But we're in this situation, and we're taking the necessary steps to flatten the curve, to stay home, to do business, but do it virtually. And I think Ayuan and your entire team, obviously, you've embraced all of that. To bring it back home, the biggest thing that we also see is the fact that M2M has hit the ground running in terms of construction, and construction hasn't stopped. I mean, like you rightly said, respecting all levels of government and all that's being put out there in terms of measures, but still being so fortunate that you're still able to do some things irrespective of the lockdown. And now that everything's getting back online, we're able to get back in to get the job done. So that's really impressive. And I like the rendering of the construction site as well. That was really perfect. So just to lead right into another piece of the conversation that obviously we all have in mind is, I know you might not have the answer right now, but what does pricing look like? Are there going to be any incentives? Considering the times, does that play a role in terms of pricing? Will the incentives be a whole lot different, deposit structure and all that? Do you know?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll leave it as a surprise for you, Sam.
Okay.
I knew you were gonna come at me with that one, but I'm gonna leave it as a surprise. But I'll tell you this: I think your clients are going to be very, very happy. I mean, look at the overall package. It's the price, it's the incentives, it's the offering, and it's what they're investing in. It's the whole thing. I think that the great thing right now is for maybe not all the right reasons. Interest rates are about as low as they've ever been. There seems to be a lot of capital in the market. While we've seen maybe some sales, drop off in terms of volume, sale prices really haven't come down very much. And I think for your clients, for our valued purchasers and clients, I think the one thing that they can keep in the back of their minds is, being 80% sold out in this first phase, with this next release coming, with a bunch of new exciting designs coming, you're still able to be the first one in a development. And as well as anyone, Sam, being the first one in a development that's got a little bit of a life here, you tend to see the value of your investment go up. And that's, you've seen that in Toronto in the past. Again, we're in a great location here, and I think that's something that all of your valued clients should keep in the back of their head. There's still an opportunity to be in here early and to get a great unit in a community that they can have a lot of confidence in going forward.
Absolutely. So this, to all of our viewers listening, back in March and in April, we actually put out a market update, a COVID-19 market update. So if you've not checked that out, I'll say to check it out. And we were basically looking at the market holistically and not obviously hiding any drop-offs, and you can't really hide it because it's pretty much out there. But we were given our honest feedback as to are there still opportunities? Should you be in the market right now? Should you be looking at opportunities as an investor? Should you be buying right now? And the answer to that is yes. It's an absolute yes from us. And the reasons we've kind of talked about here, but for some of the things that we mentioned in the report, especially the one that came out for April, sales were down, and obviously sales were going to be down. We all knew that. Number of listings were down, but price remained pretty stable. And we actually talked about why that was and why that is. And the simple answer is demand. There's still strong demand. The answer is also immigration. Now we know that immigration in total is offline because no one's going anywhere really. But from what we've already seen happen over the past few years, the people that are already here, we still don't have the required supply for the people we have on ground. So demand is still at an all-time high. Now, what we've also seen is the shortage is even getting worse, right? So we had a shortage initially, but now we have more of a shortage because, again, construction is not the same as it used to be. Completion, 2020 was tagged the year of completions, meaning that there would have been a whole lot more inventory coming to market, but we're definitely not going to see that happen at the rate or pace that we envisioned it will be. But so that actually becomes an opportunity point for anyone that's listening, which means if you have a little bit of, supply that is out there, good location, good price, good mix of products, and obviously good incentives, you should be taking advantage of that right now. Because guess what is going to happen? When the market comes back online, with supply being what it is and demand being what it is, again, the relationship between demand and supply is if there's more demand and there's low supply, prices are going to go up. We all know that. That's economics 101. So if the market gets back online and supply remains low, definitely we're going back to a marketplace where we're going to be scrambling for units, definitely. We're going to see price go up. We saw that happen in 2008 and 2009. The market actually increased relatively more so than what the market, skeptics in the marketplace expected. We're going to see that happen again. And one thing I say to investors or end users alike is history always repeats itself. And if you look at throughout time in history, when all the factors align, if you want to put it this way, when all the stars align, you definitely will have either a better situation or a similar situation, right? So if all the stars align, which means all of the factors that led up to a bounce back of the 2008 or 2009 market, if that's still the same now or even better in terms of supply being low and demand being high, definitely we're going to get back to a market bounce back. So anyone listening right now, you definitely want to take advantage of this opportunity. And if you're an end user, buy now. If you are an investor, we obviously say get in the action and get in the game. So that obviously leads to the next question, which is when you think about the marketplace, Vince, what do you see as an opportunity right now? I mean, location is great, price is great, but what else? Are families looking to live in condos or townhouse condos more? Are they looking at detached? What do you think is an opportunity for this release?
Yeah, I think condo living is something that's starting to resonate more and more with families, particularly younger families, and being able to live in a home or in a condo with, I guess, a little bit more space than maybe what conventionally or traditionally, the city and what we've been used to, I think is an appealing proposition to many. And again, being up in North York here, in the heart of North York, still in the 416, being able to, possibly get a little bit more space than they otherwise would living downtown with all the amenities. And I mentioned the daycare center, the community center, the park, retail and office. Having that all close by within walking distance, I think that's a proposition that a lot of people are thinking about. If they had been thinking about ground related single or single detached or townhome unit, I think being able to have a lot of that in a tower or in a condo development, I think is certainly something that's very attractive to them and becoming more attractive.
Awesome, awesome. So one of the last, I guess we're leading up to rounding out the session, but I have just one major question and one minor question. So it's two more questions to go. So one of the ones that has been really coming to bear over the past few weeks is a lot of clients have been asking, are these projects going to be completed, right? Because obviously looking at the situation of the global market at large, capital markets being what they are, a lot of our projects by different developers, IUON, one of them, funding doesn't always come from the local economy, right? You have sometimes a syndicate group that comes together to make a project happen. You have equity investors from different parts in most cases. How is the flow of capital right now? I mean, I guess that would be number one. And then how is that going to impact completions? So what people are saying is a lot of projects might not be completed, right? Looking at the fact that, some projects are already offline, we know that. Some projects that, probably didn't start out great in the first place are just dead, right from the beginning. So the question now becomes, IUON, I know IUON has deep pockets, right? We all know that. But what else would you say is key to the fact that this project, like we've seen, construction is already ongoing, but from a capital perspective, what else do you think is a factor to why this project is going to be live and it's going to be completed, knowing fully well that it's also a master plan community? The question becomes, you see all these great towers. Well, is it going to be finished? And can clients be confident that this will be completed?
Yeah, I think in general, Sam, I think for any of your clients, wherever they're buying, I think really do some good research on the builder, on the developer that's bringing the offering to market. And I think one thing I can say is that, the building and development industry in this city, it's my opinion, but I think I'd put them up against anybody on this planet. I think we've got a very, very strong industry with a lot of great business minds. We share information and we do our very best. So I think all of your clients, that's probably one thing, just, do a little bit of research on the builder, see their history, see the projects that they've done in the past. And then, they should be asking the right questions too when they come in. With respect to ourselves, we're at 80%. We're at the point where financing is able to be attained. Those are a couple of questions that your buyers can certainly ask when they're looking at a development to move into. The number of sales, the construction process. Where they are in terms of construction. We've been very fortunate that, excavation hasn't been impeded and we've gone along that way. How are they doing in terms of permits and approvals? That's a key as well. So those are the questions that all your clients should be asking. And then any good developer, and I know many of them in this city, be forthright and be able to tell you exactly where they stand in terms of that process. And that should give buyers a very, very good comfort level in terms of, their future purchase, whether it's at M2M or anyone else. I think those are the takeaways for sure.
Awesome. So, guys, this is Vince Santino. This is probably one of our very first virtual sessions talking about real estate, talking about an amazing project that is coming to market. We obviously will have to leave it here because, we definitely have to get to work in terms of bringing this product to you, getting you more information. So price and all of that good stuff will be shared with you shortly. I just want to say to Vince, thank you. You're definitely one of those individuals that we can run to if we have questions. So thank you for your time. And everyone watching, again, you're going to see links at the bottom of your screen. Take advantage of it. Call us. Let us get you more information. Let us help you make a decision sooner than later. The one thing that I've always maintained, and you hear this throughout any session that I do, is the opportunity of a lifetime is in the lifetime of the opportunity. So don't let an opportunity slip you by, because 5 years, 3 years down the road, you're going to be looking back and saying, I should have just bought then as opposed to now. So again, Vince Santino, Senior Vice President at IUON, thank you so much for your time. and we look forward to seeing you to seeing more, obviously, information, and to seeing you in the nearest future as we launch and as we sell.
Good stuff. Good to see you, Sam. And to everybody out there, please stay safe.
Absolutely. Stay safe, guys. Thank you.